Alright, so for this exercise, we are going to take a look at another program that can also save 3D models into OBJ. It's an old one. This one is Amapi. Say it with a French accent, and it may sound like I'm happy. And you may remember me as the Amapi evangelist from, God knows, 25, 30 years ago. So what does it look like? If we go to the render menu and render geometry, I have a good old elephant I used to model in Amapi, and we will have other models of the elephants too from other providers and designers, but this one here is kind of my special experience. So gonna go to Amapi, and I have the original here, and then I have a triangulated version, and I'll explain in a second. So first let's take a look at this one. And then it turns out this one is showing, but only partly. And that's because I think it has a bunch of polygons that are not triangle, but higher order polygons. Like there may be four-sided polygons, or there may be something even more complex. And so it's not crashing. That's progress, but it still needs improvement. So until that is in our parser and we triangulate it on the fly, which we don't know yet if we'll do, there's quite a bit of pros and cons there. But you see this polygon here has, I mean, maybe it's a set of triangles just sharing a common vertex, or maybe it is indeed one big complex polygon. Somehow it displays, probably it's a bunch of triangles here, but then there's others. Maybe they're not actually triangles. Maybe they're not four-sided. Maybe they are two triangles, but with reverse orientation. So the backface culling removes them, because you can see we don't see the inside. We only see the outside polygons, right? And so it's possibly linked to backface culling. We still need to look at that and maybe give it an option to disable it. But another option would be to see if we can force it by triangulation. So not strangulation, but triangulation. This is what it will look like if you triangulate it. So evidently there is something that we can do to improve it here. And maybe what we want to do is, oh, I lost the eyes here. Anyway, let's see how we did that. You know, we can once we have the model in here, we can certainly make it look a little bit brighter, put some different lights on it, so that as we rotate it, or as we rotate the lights, we see a mix of two different colors of light sources hitting it. So what did I do? I went to Blender. Let's see what that looks like. So when you're in Blender, maybe initially comes with a scene, you want to get rid of that cube, and then do something like import the Wavefront OBJ, and go right here into Amapi and load the original. That one's called Amapi, elephantoon.obj. And let's import that. We're on the inside of the elephant. There they are. So let's go, what is it, 0 or 1 to get a side view. Make sure we select everything that's in here, and we should see it here. It should have the surface 0 and surface 1. I think one of them is the eyes, probably surface 1. 0 is probably the main elephant here. If I click it, if I select one or the other, who knows? Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to select it all. And what I want to do simply now is apply a modifier that will force it to triangulation. So right here, add a modifier and triangulate. Now there's other modifiers you might play with, move it further, or God knows what. This is good enough for me. I'm going to go and export it now. This is a really nice capability we have here in Blender. It's very intuitive and easy to use now. Interface phenomenal in terms of how it's evolved. So I'm going to now go back to the same folder and select my Amapi subdirectory, elephantoon, and it will have this name, triangulated, but it's already taken, so I'm going to call it triangulated 2. Okay, I think that should be it. And no, wait, I missed the fine print here. Let's go like this, get rid of one of these. There you go. Okay, and let's make sure we apply the modifiers. We did apply a modifier for triangulation. Let's make sure we apply it upon this export. There's another option. If you only wanted to triangulate it, you could also check this guy here, and that will do a triangulation without you having to actually triangulate the object in Blender. It's during the export that it will do it, and just only there. So that might work too. There's other things to consider. Should we keep the surface normals? Yes, of course. We want that smooth look, the smooth shaded appearance. Do we have UV coordinates in this model? No. So we could actually do without, but for the sake of continuity, we'll just keep that there for now. I'm not sure that we handle everything yet that is possible here. There may be some scenarios where you have a model where something's missing and it's not loading. So let's just go with that now and go back to our nope, that's not it. This one here. All right, so that was the old elephant. Let's go to number 2. It's of course exactly the same thing. And all we want to do now is, well, why did we load this in here, right? Why did we want to, oh, the eyes are actually there, they're not lost. Right there, just a little bit different color. And let's see if we have it in shaded. In wireframe mode, it's a little bit more intuitive, a little bit more interactive. We can go here to move it up and move it to the back and maybe place him down just around here. So see, one way we can do that is right here as we work with it, right? But then there's also the more precise positioning and other use cases, which is if we make it a brush. So if I make it a brush, I want to make the lighting kind of match what I see on this mountain here. The light source is mostly, the sun is mostly coming from the right side. You can see it here too, this mountain as well, and probably some others back there. Yeah, so the light needs to come from the right side. Let's see if we can map that somehow, something like this, and maybe a little bit more bluish on the ambient light. Blue greenish. There's a lot of green down here, so we might want to convey some of that. It's almost too much, especially back here in the back, so let's go maybe not quite that much. And then instead also have the back color here. Yeah, we do have some blue in the skies, and there might be a little bit more that we don't see in the scene here, but we might want to provide some of that here. Anyway, we have a little bit of a nice little view here. Frankly, I'm not too happy with that lighting. Yeah, maybe we'll use this one. Okay, and so I'll keep that as a brush. And so now there it is. Now it's a small one because you have the scale down, but if I bring it back up higher, it's bigger. And that's basically where the fun starts. So we can go now and set the step distance pretty high and the size very small. So we have a whole bunch of them here as we paint them. Now maybe that's not enough step distance. Let's make it even more distant. There you go. And then maybe also a little bit of what else could we possibly do here? Some randomness to, was it random position, a little bit random size. That will add a little bit of dynamic to it. The angle, not so much. We don't need them to tilt forward, lean forward, or backwards. The hue, the saturation, maybe some of them a little bit darker also here with the random value. So that will look a little bit more like a family of different elephants. Random size in particular, we should probably push that a little bit. Yeah, look at that. So now undo that. So we have a whole following of elephants here. Then we have a few more looking here, tiny ones, and this is just a really big boy. We're gonna get maybe a few more. Now we're gonna also, so we're gonna paint a few, but we're also going to stamp a few. So we'll stomp them down since they have the big feet. So just make them a little bit bigger, and then so at this point we might have one part. Something like this. Actually, I don't like this random size now, so we need to reduce that back to 0. So it's staying exactly at the size that we see it. There you go. And one thing that could also be useful in terms of giving it a little bit of a better integration into that scene is if we go to the brush menu and add a drop shadow, just a little bit, just a hint of a fuzziness around it and some light opacity, then that way it's subtle, but it can give you a little bit of a better integration into the back there. Maybe I'll do that a little bit stronger. Brush, add drop shadow, higher opacity, a little bit more fuzziness. I'm going to probably overdo it here. But there it is. Now you can see how, especially on the right ear, it's got a little bit of a fuzziness to that. And now if maybe we make it even bigger. We have him like this. And there's one little brave fellow right in the front leading the way. And if we don't want to see the feet here that kind of seem to be dangling in the air, we'll just stamp one more in the front, and that's it. And then we have a flying Dumbo here somewhere. No, I don't think so. That's good enough. All right, thanks for watching. We'll be just finishing this up, and we'll see you next time.